Greetings, spear beings, greetings, supreme being. We are all the human race. Our common enemy is death. This is Try Something.Vegetarian on YouTube. I'm Ulrich Hoffman. Today is the 12th of July 2019, Friday, and you are watching the broadcast. Tommy Robinson was in jail while gang-raping pedophile child traffickers were released on bail. So in this broadcast, I will start with a video. Hopefully it's downloaded. I can also use the YouTube video. This has over 1 million views. UK activist Tommy Robinson speaks out after prison release. And of course, I first have to make clear that I think it's obvious, and most people know that in reality they know it was an illegal sentence and they know what's going on. People with a legal background understand that Tommy Robinson was not breaching the peace, and there were 29 defendants. And perhaps it's best if we first listen to what Tommy Robinson says in this video before people think, hey, this is not Tommy. Let's watch something else.
The United Kingdom has become a mere shadow of the nation that gave us freedom of speech, freedom of the press, a host of other rights that we take for granted but probably should not take for granted. Nobody knows that better than Tommy Robinson. In May of this year, he was arrested for attempting to cover the trial of a sexual grooming gang in the UK. For speaking out loud on the sidewalk, he was taken to prison. With barely any time to muster a defense, he was tried and sentenced to 13 months in jail. Now, after more than 2 months behind bars in solitary confinement, during which time he was attacked by journalists in the UK, almost nobody defended him. But tonight he has been released on bail after winning an appeal. Tommy Robinson joins us now for his first and only interview. Tommy Robinson, thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us. I know that you've spent the last 2.5 months by yourself in a cell, so you're probably feeling a little bit bewildered to be out. Tell us what it was like for you behind bars.
For me, behind bars, the way I was treated, I was taken to a prison with quite a low Muslim population. What I'm known for is criticising Islam, so there's been many planned attempts to murder me and kill me in this country. I was taken to a prison with a low Muslim population of 7%, where things were relatively normal. I was separated from other prisoners, but the prison officers made sure they opened my doors multiple times during the day, and they took me out to play pool and snooker with themselves. I was then taken from that prison and transferred to another prison. And I was transferred to the prison with the largest Muslim population in the UK for a CCAT prison. I was then put on solitary confinement, where I spent 2 months not seeing or speaking to anybody, and they used the reason that I was in danger. Now, they would have had risk assessments before I went there. I was purposely taken to be put in danger so that then that reason can be used to then put me on solitary confinement. And if you think about what has happened in this case, it took a number of hours to take me before a court, prosecute me, unlawfully imprison me, and then it took 2 months with the prisons moving me to prevent my legal access, shortening my legal visits, and it took months before I got the opportunity to go before a judge. Once the judge heard what had happened in the trial, we found so many illegal and wrongdoings within this kangaroo court that then it took another 2 weeks before I was freed. And to be honest, this whole encounter, if you talk about, I haven't eaten. I've lost nearly 40 pounds in prison. I had 1 tin of tuna and a piece of fruit a day. I was supposed to be in Her Majesty's prison service, not Guantanamo Bay. I couldn't open my windows because I was having excrement and spit put through them. I believe this whole process, and Tucker, this isn't the first.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but who was putting excrement through your window and spit through your window?
So my prison cell that I was put in was on the lower level, the ground level, which it didn't have to be. So it's on the ground level. So every prisoner would walk past my cell window, everyone as they walk out. So when my windows were open, every prisoner's walking past. The mosque for the prison was directly opposite my cell. So every time, and we've had huge heat waves, I was literally drenched day to day, and I had excrement and spit thrown through the doors, through my windows. So in the end, I had completely blocked up windows, had to block up all of my cell windows. And all of this, when I say This, to a lot of people around the world, this current case, and the world has watched it, has shocked them. For me, this has been nothing new. There's some things I have not spoke about in the past, where in 2012, I spent 5 months on solitary confinement in the British prison. Goes against every human right and every law. I spent 5 months on solitary. When I come out, I was diagnosed with a form of post-traumatic stress disorder. I've never spoke about that publicly because I don't want to insult members of the military who have witnessed war and try and compare being locked in a cell and on solitary confinement to that. But my medical records are fully aware, that the authorities are fully aware of them, the government are fully aware of them, the prison service are fully aware of them. They know what that did to me. They know what I went through after that. They elite,
but I guess,
wait,
may I interrupt you? I just want I just want our viewers to understand why this happened to you in the first place. You went to prison in a supposedly free country for expressing unfashionable opinions in public. Did you, with this last round, you've been in jail for 2 months, did you hit anybody? Did you steal anything? Or did you say something the government didn't like?
There was a court case going on where 29 people were in court for gang raping up to 100 young children. Now, I stood outside the court and I spoke, and all I done was read a BBC News article that is still online now for millions of people to see. Now, and I was taken, and everyone would have watched the video. They said for a breach of the peace, they transported me to a police custody, and then my solicitor contacted the police custody. Then they emailed my solicitor, which my solicitor has this email, saying I was being released. Then they took me in a van back to the court through the back door. They put me up before a judge. And media reports have said that I pled guilty. At no point was I even asked whether I was guilty or not guilty. I was not even told, and I still, to this point now, have not been told and do not know what it is I'm deemed to have done wrong. In a British court of law, for a fair trial for anyone, they have to understand what it is they're being accused of. Contempt of court. That's all I've been told. What contempt of court? I was fully aware outside that court. I made sure to point out that these men are innocent until proven guilty. I said alleged. I was non-confrontational. There is not the judges, and I know the law. The judges have no power to issue reporting restrictions on anybody, on any information that is already in the public domain. I was taken and whisked away, and what we've seen this week is the highest judge in our country has completely condemned this as flawed, completely criticised the handling of this case, the kangaroo court style it was to imprison me. And my biggest concern with it is, at this time, that when this has happened, and so many people, I say a thank you to the Middle East Forum, a thank you to Congressman Gosar, a thank you to Ambassador Brownback, a thank you to yourself, Tucker, people who come out, because we know that in this country, anyone who speaks about Islam, you can be a complete liberal. The minute you criticise Islam, you are deemed and attacked by everybody. Now, and people put their neck on the line.
Let me just ask you now, did anyone defend you? I mean, even if people disagree with you, you would think some would say he has a right, this man has a right to express his opinions. Did anybody defend your right to say what you think is true?
Everyone of authority.
So, I hate Islam, I hate Christianity, I hate all religion, I hate Judaism, but I don't hate religious people. Some awesome religious people exist out there, so I keep that clear in my broadcasts. Also, why I hate religion, why religion is considered an abomination by me and millions of people around the world. And the main religion idea is basically that there's something higher than the humans, something to give your life for in illegal wars, killing your fellow humans, pretending they're your enemy, giving yourselves medals for it. And then there's the Inquisition, not just illegal wars in the Middle East, creating more terrorists and fugitives and opening the borders of all countries but Israel, etc. That's what some anti-Semites might think. But is it true? That's the question. I don't see Israel opening its borders to unlimited amounts of refugees. As a matter of fact, there are 190 killed Gaza protesters, etc. So I can't close my eyes to these depleted uranium babies and things that were already done. And I think we must stop these people prevent them from making it worse than it already is, and that borders of countries with no-go zones must be temporarily closed to immigrants until the people in no-go zones are integrated, not assimilated. So I have social ideas about this as well. And my West Coast chopper hoodie, that has to do with the banning of the Hells Angels and others in the Netherlands. I don't know if it's true even. I haven't gone in depth into this. I don't have a bike. I'm not a biker myself. But I can't get this hoodie on eBay anymore, so it has these worn out sleeves and stuff. I just think it's an original idea, also printing something on the sleeve, and it looks good, it looks decent. It's kind of a Maltese cross type of thing, like the Bilderbergers use. So, just trying to blend in, I guess. I'm in the Netherlands, I guess.
And every media company and mainstream media lined up to completely do hatchet jobs about why I should be in prison and how I deserve to be in prison. And the worst one, I'm reading a human rights lawyer defending why I should be in prison. Now, I'm in prison, I'm facing absolute, They know what they're doing to me. They know, at the time when I was in prison, they then come and see me in my prison cell and say, police are on their way to your house because there's intel there's going to be acid attacks against your wife. Now,
I'm sorry, Tommy, we're out of time, okay. And on that sad note, I wish you good luck in recovering from this and on the time you're going to take off. And I just want our viewers to understand that this has happened in a country that we believed was free, and without our vigilance, it could happen here. That's not hysteria, it's real. Tommy Robinson, thank you very much. Yeah.
So I bet some true Brits and perhaps millions of people around the world are fumigating over this travesty that is called British justice system, legal system. And I've prepared a little text and slideshow. So here we go.
Rand Paul's audit the Fed bill may have friend in Trump. YouTube Trump attacks Fed independence. YouTube Donald Trump supports Rand Paul's audit the Fed bill. YouTube Trump's haters claim his Fed criticism is dangerous. They're wrong. Mises.org. There is one thing that can be said: audit the Fed. A little mosquito bird. GMO. Cloud seeding. Geoengineering. The secret death toll of America's drones. President Trump is making it harder to know how many civilians the government kills by remote control. New York Times, March 30, 2019. This it-band movement, this teeny destiny, tragedy of reality. Hitler had Jewish and African roots. DNA tests show. Telegraph. Telegraph.co.uk. Hitler Jewish? DNA tests show dictator may have had Jewish and Adolf Hitler is likely to have had Jewish and African roots. DNA tests have shown. HuffPost.com, August 24, 2010. Mar-a-Lago. Jeffrey Epstein had a torture dental chair in his Manhattan mansion's bathroom. Pizzagate, submitted 1.7 days ago by Game. Antifago 5 points. I would like to explain why dentist chairs are used by pedophiles as a way to disguise and disable victims' accounts. If a kid explains in a court that he was abused in a place that had a dentist chair, it would be very easy for the defense to state the child is just fantasizing when he went to the dentist. Same case as for werewolf's masks. McMartin's case. Police raided the mansion before. They did nothing in 2016. They found children's toys, the torture chair, and pictures of teenagers in their bikinis. One picture was of a young child bent over, which authorities blurred out. In the recent raid in 2019, they found hundreds of pictures of nude children and victims' names, which asks the question, why didn't the police find this in 2016? Vote.co, both connected to his teen, from the newspaper that blew Vietnam wide open. WashingtonPost.com, March 10, 2017. Trump keeps claiming he's created U.S. jobs since Election Day. Not so. Trump just bragged about jobs he didn't create. ThinkProgress.org, Mar 1, 2017 What happened to all the jobs Trump promised? Projects.ProPublica.org May 7, 2019 Trump isn't creating as many jobs as he says he is. RollingStone.com May 8, 2019 Fact check. Did Ivanka Trump create millions of jobs? Facts first, no matter how you spin it, that's not true. Edition.cnn.com February 25, 2019 White House strongly claims Trump created more jobs for Black Americans than Obama did. CNBC.com August 14, 2018 Sources online think Tommy Robinson, Epstein and Assange are all Mossad agents. What if the CIA and Mossad funded WikiLeaks? Question every source of information, CIA, Mossad and Soros behind WikiLeaks. Could there being Mossad agents or the idea that they are Mossad agents have imprisoned them? Are they really in prison now? Can people check and bring them chocolates? Did they get paid or were they on their own if they'd get caught? Prisoners have rights. If World War III starts 10th of August 2019, perhaps someone knows for sure. It is best to take a holiday to a safe country or a place with a cellar below the blast wave or bomb shelter that is waterproof to withstand the 90-meter heights tsunami waves Putin's nuclear torpedoes will create to annihilate people in bomb shelters as well. If Trump and the Queen of England do not free Tommy Robinson, Mr. Lennon himself, immediately they are accomplices. If Tommy would be murdered like he thought will happen if he'd be put in prison again, they are accomplices to murder. This was an illegal sentence for several reasons. I wonder what Azrael Event of the Rebel Media YouTube channel thinks about this travesty called the British justice system. Probably satanic pedo judges are responsible for this illegal sentence, right? Every leader in the world, every superstar, must help to get Tommy Robinson out of prison. He already spent 10 months in prison for a crime he did not commit. What happened to the 29 defendants the BBC and Tommy reported about? Were the child traffickers, pedophiles and possibly even murderers really released on bail while Tommy Robinson was in jail? Were the judges tortured with remote-directed energy torture weapons, or are they Masonic partners in crime that are supplied with children by Muslim Masons? In the video, UK activist Tommy Robinson speaks out after prison release. Fox News published on August 3, 2018 1,007,598 views. Tommy Robinson makes clear there was a court case going on where 29 people were in court for gang raping up to 100 young children. Are we not allowed to know what their sentences were? Tommy Robinson is a fake name to protect himself and his family, chosen to protect his children, I presume.
So, nobody is writing anything in the chat. Yesterday there were more viewers, but usually these videos about Tommy get a decent amount of views, so I thought, let's give it a shot, let's give it a try. Because there's no God. So if we don't do it, if we don't make it happen, no one and nothing will. So yeah, invest in controlling aging instead of more legal wars, and in safety, preventive measures, not another trillion for revising the nuclear arsenal, like Trump has said he will do. New York Times makes clear that revising the nuclear arsenal would cost $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. A million has 6 zeros, a billion has 9 zeros. We can Google it also. You have the short and the long scale or something. So I just simply Googled trillion. 1 million million, according to Wiki. I thought I already clicked on this. So short scale is 1 million million, and long scale is 1 million times larger than the short scale trillion, according to Wikipedia, the free Vatican edited encyclopedia. British English once employed both versions. Need I say more? Pictures speak louder than words sometimes. So these are innocent protesters on the floor beating back into the recycle cops, police, whatever you prefer, with sticks, not the other way around. So based on what we read in the mainstream media, isn't it obvious that Assange and Tommy Robinson should be out of prison? Do they do these things to create riots, and or do they do it with directed energy weapons to provoke illegal activity towards judges and people involved in locking up Tommy Robinson, the innocent Tommy Robinson, especially compared to the defendants? And what happened to these defendants? Are we not allowed to know their names and sentences? We are allowed apparently to know Tommy Robinson's name and sentence. But if they could, they'd keep that secret as well, probably. So this is Beetlejuice. Other words can we use to describe the travesty we see? I can Google travesty. I was planning to do that also.
Travesty.
It's pretty loud. A false, absurd, or distorted representation of something. As a noun and as a verb, represent in a false, absurd, or distorted way. So trillion is 1 million millions, I remembered that correctly. But I thought it's a lot. A million is a lot already, and a million of those millions, that's that's powerful. And there are missing trillions, missing nukes. You can Google it all. What a world we live in. The only real world, basically. So we'd better make it happen, or else nothing happens. Perhaps it's more effective if I read words myself. So World War III starts 10th of August 2019, some called Tisha B'Av. Perhaps someone knows for sure. If Trump and the Queen of England do not free Tommy Robinson, Mr. Lennon himself, immediately, they are accomplices. If Tommy would be murdered, like he thought will happen if he'd be put in prison again, they are accomplices to murder. This was an illegal sentence for several reasons. I wonder what Ezra Levant of the Rebel Media YouTube channel thinks about this travesty called the British justice system. Probably satanic pedo judges are responsible for this illegal sentence, right? Every leader in the world, every superstar must help to get Tommy Robinson out of prison. He already spent 10 months in prison for a crime he did not commit. What happened to the 29 defendants the BBC and Tommy reported about? Were the child traffickers, pedophiles, and possibly even murderers really released on bail while Tommy Robinson was in jail? Were the judges tortured with remote-directed energy torture weapons, or are they Masonic partners in crime that are supplied with children by Muslim Masons? Let me know in the chat what you all think, let the world know. Still no chat remarks. Perhaps that's a good sign. So this is what I have to say about that, and I think it would be weirder if there would be no protest, whether that's what the Rothschilds want or not. So I'm against putting Tommy Robinson in prison again. He already spent 10 months in prison. So this is really insane. It's there are no words for it, you could argue. This is meant to turn people into what I can't say, basically. So, thank you all for watching. Please share this important video on your timeline. And I hope Trump and the Queen of England take action so that they don't kill Mr. Lennon, better known to most as Tommy Robinson, and that they release him immediately. It's clear to most people he spent too much time in prison already. Like Dr. Cut, you could argue. And perhaps this is caused by anti-Semites and others that are using false arguments, argumentum ad hominem, and other reasons perhaps also red herrings to cover up what it's about. The future of Great Britain and other countries around the world, the right to freedom of speech, the right to freedom of the press, the right to our streets and public freedom and safety, liberty, etc. So many things are tied in with this. And it's about de-religionization as well, de-Islamization, de-Islamation, whatever you prefer. So I'm open to ideas about how to get Tommy Robinson out of prison. I doubt if donations would work. And trust no one, nothing is what it seems. Recovery begins with non-compliance. To quote Control the Position David Icke. Oregon cloudbusters do work, but they cannot protect you against remote torture and cancer cell phone radiation. It may be harmonized by it to a certain extent, but if you can measure it with your cancer cell phone radiation, cancer microwave meter, then you know it's going through your body and it's causing lumping red blood cells. There's a test you can do at home that proves this. Besides the DNA breaks, chromosomal damage, and tumors on the side of people's heads where they keep their cancer cell phone to their head, as shown by the MRI scans also. So they pretend it's a harmless amount, while in reality 1 in 2 of you will get cancer, according to Medscape.com. And people also need an air cleaner with an ionizer. And they disperse these designer viruses in cancer chemtrails because 27,000 times less variants are required to induce equivalent disease when dispersed in aerosol form. Okay? So that means that they can have a higher kill rate to reduce the global population with soft kill and slow kill vaccines and other population reduction methods I've covered in my top 10 video of population reduction methods and countermeasures you can take. So I'm not just saying what they're doing wrong, I'm pointing out who's doing it and what must be done to survive it yourself. And it's like everybody is programmed to self-annihilate and they want to die and take everybody with them if they can. But that's probably just because of the mainstream media and the fact that the Jesuits and Masons have infiltrated these governments, so people cannot press charges of incitement to commit genocide against people with book quotes that prove they want to annihilate 7 billion people. Also with airborne Ebola, Reston, etc., Professor Bianca. But that's really old news. People cannot press charges of cancer cell phone radiation damages. They pretend it's below a safe level, so if you suffer from it and die from it, that's okay. And as a matter of fact, that's what they want. That's clear from these book quotes. And $1 million Georgia Guidestones, supposedly donated anonymously by Mr. Rockefeller under the pseudonym Robert Christian. But if that's Control the Position, then it might as well be Mr. Rothschild or someone else. And the other thing people cannot press charges of is directed energy weapon torture. Then the police, at least in the Netherlands, labels you mentally ill without consulting a psychiatrist. So they are body snatchers of the pedo elite, like the psychiatrists are, basically. Perhaps even some psychoanalysts as well. So, my father is coming in. Thank you all for watching. Do stuff for universal peace. See you all next time on Try Something.Vegetarian.